hey, King.
Hello, oh bearded one.
Welcome back. Last time, apparently, Chapter 0, Ye Old Prologue. Chapter 1 of A Heel's Guide to Survival. We're here. We're heels.
We're
Deal with it.
lonely. Get used to it.
Oh, yeah. Um, we actually had a chance to see each other, which has been awesome. It was really nice. Got you were smoking some snassages and some potatoes, and we sat a
Chicken
uh,
breasts
oh yeah,
and
yeah, and the
ribs.
chicken. Yeah. Did you say grits?
Uh, Ribs.
Oh, you
I
said
had
grits. I
I had
was like,
to
you
half
smoking your
rack.
grits? Tell me more.
I would like to try that now that you say that. Yeah, I kind of want to
Yeah,
do
like
that.
make some cheesy grits with,
Mm.
or smokes a shrimp and then put them in the grits. Ooh la la. Food.
Yeah,
One of the heal's guides to survival. Eat stuff that makes you happy.
yeah. We smoked yesterday, and as good as the ribs I smoked the time before were, these were actually better.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they were really, really good. They were
nice.
ridiculous. They were so good that I actually had like three left over and I contemplated eating them even though I was like vomit full. Also, if you've never smoked potatoes before, like just whole potatoes,
Oh
you're missing out.
yeah.
They're they're
Oh,
really, really good.
smoke corn cob pipes. That's all I.
Yeah.
Baby.
So yeah, we were pretty good. We hung out. I got to see Juvetos
Yeah.
and he ran around the yard and did awesome dog stuff. We had some chat skis. I don't remember what we talked about. I think we just like basically were just enjoying each other's company. I think we talked about bad stuff first, and then we just talked about fun stuff.
Yeah. Challenges, but
Because we're adult, we have to talk about bad stuff.
yeah. We
You remember when
down.
you were a kid and you were just like, you remember when we were kids and someone would say like, start talking about bad stuff, and you were just like, I don't care about that.
Yeah. Can we like not? That'd be great,
Yeah, did you read Web of Spider-Man this month?
right?
Yeah, I just remember that being a big deal, or some of the effect of, is it Notre Dame at Michigan this weekend? Just dumb things that you do as a kid that just to shut out like the noise of the badness. But
Yeah,
when you're an adult, there's a lot more badness.
that's a true story. Which is
What else have you been doing to stave off the badness this week or the last week?
we've been doing twitchy things. I've been like throwing myself at lots of fun um lots of fun heel turn stuff. Like you did Down in
Dive Club
Outlands
is
with
sweet.
Warrior and Nate and Shannon and your lovely wife. We did Dive Club together on Friday and every Friday. Twitch.tv/Hilton Radio. It was
We
fun.
discussed have when we discussed an idea this weekend
We did.
for, I don't think it would work for Dive Club, but I think it would be super fun.
Yeah. You want to share it with the he's talking about the game Werewolf. Uh,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, really, most confidence games would be pretty fun. Um, I feel
I think
like,
that game would be particularly fun because of private messaging and breaking out like the broader rules that are in the complete Werewolves of Miller's Hollow, where people have houses and
yeah,
some people don't, and you could have a little bit more negotiation, and also setting a time limit
yeah,
of that. Just saying you've got 10 minutes to negotiate, to talk amongst yourselves, um, and then from there, being able to then push that a little bit. I think that would be interesting.
yeah. What what else have you been up to?
Stardew Valley.
Lots of games, baby.
Yeah, I started playing Stardew Valley this weekend. I played with my friend Kedron, and I realized I enjoy that game very much. It's extremely relaxing.
Mhm.
Um, don't put your your farm in the dark wood because monsters come out at like 7 o'clock and they're not fucking around. Um, so we haven't been able to schedule more time to play together. So I started a secondary farm, which is also I can invite people to because it's co-op. Um, and what I've realized is I'm good at certain things. Energy management is probably not one of them. I get
This
very
is
wrapped up in very
this
tasks.
is true in your real life as well.
It definitely is. Like I will pour all my stuff into one thing or two things, and then I'll realize afterwards, I'll be like, "Oh man, I should have probably held on to some of that."
Yeah.
Um, Made a couple customs this weekend, or at the end of last week, and I got a couple more I'm getting ready to finish.
Are we
Made
talking
a
like
face.
Kickstart My Heart customs, or are we talking about like Smash
Pew,
Smash?
pew, 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 pew.
Are you talking about your kit
Um,
bashing?
yeah,
Yeah.
I did a part bash for the faceless one. Who, if
Nice.
you haven't watched the Mike Young 2000, I think it's like 2002 or 2010. I know there's a huge difference. Masters of the Universe cartoon, then you're missing out.
Yeah.
Um, and then I did a kit bash of Papa Shango, but I gotta find a hat and a necklace,
Mm.
maybe the voodoo stick. Um, Trying to think what else I did. I watched The Shed on
Oh yeah.
Shutter. It was good.
How
It
was
was
it?
different.
Yeah.
Um, it definitely felt like a movie from the '80s, even though it was a current movie. It wasn't like the best acted movie. I really liked the idea of it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there's the vampire in my shed, and it's kind of solving all my high school problems, but also it's killing a lot of people,
Yeah.
and eventually it's going to try to kill me. Um, oh, also my best friend is nuts and is trying to make a side deal with the vampire the whole time. Um,
That seems dangerous.
I also had Cassandra watch Never Hike Alone since the trailer for Never Hike in the Snow came out.
Yeah.
Um, I think she liked it. She really wasn't like, there was a lot of like cuddling up to Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know if I told you she got a Baby Yoda.
I witnessed it last
Yeah,
week.
oh yeah. Witness me. Um, so there was a lot of cuddling up to that. So I think like the flat, like I don't know if have you watched that 90 or 50-minute
No, I
short
don't think so.
film?
Hmm.
You're not a horror guy,
I am
but
not.
I would say it's as good as any of the it's as good as any of the first three Friday the 13th movies. And I always take Jason X out of there because that movie and Freddy versus Jason because they're something onto their own, which is they're beautiful
That's
little children that I want to hold close and hug
yeah.
because they're special. Um,
Yeah.
but it's as good as that.
Yeah.
And there's barely any Jason in the first half of it.
Interesting.
All just set up. And it's because it's just one guy, it is a lot of like just cat and mouse. And then it has a very like throwbacky, cool ending,
Nice.
which has me very excited for the sequel they're making. So, I mean, it's
Cool.
really good. And it's interesting just because it's one guy versus Jason. And he has no idea what he's getting into. Like, he doesn't even realize what's going on until it's too late.
Yeah.
Very good. Very suspenseful. I don't know if it's even the right word for it. Like, it's full of a lot of dread. Like, you know what's coming as the
Yeah.
viewer, and you're just like, how bad is this going to get? That was really fun. I saw Venture Brothers got canceled, and I was very upset about that.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Has Cartoon Network, in reality, when you're looking at your time with that channel, have they ever finished anything to your satisfaction? I'm serious. I'm asking. I'm curious.
Um.
Maybe Adventure Time.
I I find that I haven't watched a lot of Cartoon Network because I don't have access, but also because things like that just seem to habitually happen. Um, and so I kind of if I find that it's kind of the same way with some comics, like do I want to pick up the individual comics and run the risk of
Trades.
that, or do I want to wait for the trade? But for some things, it's the simple fact that every couple weeks, every week, I can have something new, and there's something really enjoyable about that. Like I heard that for some of the video games that are out where they'll have kind of an additional piece of storyline or something like that. I heard the Avengers one is going to have some new characters and have some like stories built around some of the additional characters. Like I I'm kind of yeah, I'm reluctant to
So
invest in some things at this point, but
is this a place where we can talk about comics
yeah,
in general?
we can talk about it whatever we want. I mean, we just
I
talked
know,
about
but
Stardew Valley.
I just want to make sure that this is a safe place.
This is a safe place. Hey, but
Okay.
first, let's talk about, Shutter's great and so is Netflix. But it's really great? Blockbuster. Blockbuster, the last blockbuster on earth in Bend, Oregon. Hey, go on, get yourself a card, maybe pick yourself up a sticker, get a nice little thank you from the support team, maybe buy a hat or something, keep them in business. They put all your stores out of business, so hey, why not keep the last one alive? You can rent it out on Airbnb for the next couple months, and hey, they're booked solid. So look at 2021 when maybe we have a vaccine and some of this is over. Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster Video. They used to have a slogan, but I don't remember it. So comics. Get out of
So,
Blockbuster. Woo!
so first I'll go back to Cartoon Network really quick. They
Yeah.
haven't. They just I don't understand how that's a channel that even is viable any longer. Anyway, so first of all, quick plug for myself.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna look directly at the camera. Hey people, if you are interested in comic books and you're thinking, man, I don't have enough comic books, guess who does? This guy. And he's looking to get rid of everything that's not a trade paperback. So if you're interested in purchasing 14 long boxes or so of comic books, just get a hold of us, because I can make that happen for relatively reasonable costs that we can negotiate. So I'm just throwing that out there because
HillturnRadio at
I would like to have that,
gmail.com. Holler at him.
I'd like to have that space back, and I only really read trades now, because I don't want to dig through 14 long boxes to find the issues I want to read. Anywho, I can point directly to when I fell out of love with comic books.
Oh, yeah?
It was a confluence of events.
Was it when you discovered mug cakes? Mug cakes. You only need 5 minutes of commitment, baby.
Baby, diabetes in a mug.
Yeah, yeah.
You just should call them Brimley cups, Brimley mugs. So 3 things happened, like all in succession.
Yeah.
Dan Didio, who I feel like did everything in his power to run DC in the ground.
Yeah.
Brian Michael Bendis, who I feel is a really good ideas man. Michael, remember F Mountain? But couldn't finish a story if there was a gun held to his head. And number 3, In Search of Steve Ditko, which is a documentary narrated by Neil Gaiman. If you watch that, and you couple that with any books or interviews done with Jack Kirby, you'll realize just what a son of a bitch Stan Lee was. And it just ripped that kind of love for comics out. And this was around the time where both companies, main companies, started rebooting constantly, and 10 issues and then ending the title like you were talking about a moment ago, and then in 3 months there's a new number one with a new creative team, and they're really just picking and choosing their continuity. Which, if you're a long-term reader like I was, I mean, I've been reading comics since I was in grade school. It just
Yeah.
kind
So
of,
like going on half a century now.
fuck you. Um, Older man comics. There was good stuff in there. There's really good stuff in there in that time period. But all the good stuff started slowly getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The prices started going up and up and up, and the delays between books kept getting longer and longer and longer. And I thought the quality of the books were getting worse. Um, what do you think? Am I wrong? Prove me wrong.
No, I mean, I don't think that you're wrong. I try to kind of think about where we're at with wrestling right now and wonder if we're not kind of at a similar place, for not completely dissimilar reasons. But I find in some ways we're kind of in this era that's kind of was going boom for a while, and then with COVID and everything else happening, and also some sons of bitches running things into the ground. I feel like part of this Heel's Guide to Survival is coping with not having wrestling or not feeling comfortable with being able to attend, or kind of supporting wrestling that's going on as a whole, because there is wrestling that's happening that is taking as many precautions as humanly possible, but then there's also a lot of bullshit. So yeah, I don't think that you're wrong. I think that there's these moments where there's just something about where you're at and what you're reading or what you're watching in any kind of fandom or hobby that that when it hits, there's just like no coming back from it. Like even if you can kind of move past it, right? Like the Stan Lee thing, right? Like you can move past that and say, like, yes, there's nothing that I can do to alter that except for dig into people that did not get that shine, and hope that I can kind of share that with other people. But in some of these things, especially with the kind of creators that have fallen from grace, or just kind of never could finish in some aspects, it's like moving past that is a really, really difficult thing when you just kind of keep banging against the wall as you go laterally. It's hard when you can't Kool-Aid man through.
Do you have any books or titles or anything of that ilk that you can still go back to and you can read, and it still hits your imagination like you're 10 years old?
I don't know if it's like when I was 10 years old, because I read it much later than that. I really still, and I have this problem as well, in that there are some creators which for me were those kind of evergreen creators I could go back to and really enjoy their work on different books. Peter David being one of those, and Peter David being a bit of a raging asshole. I can go back to almost all Mike Mignola work,
That's what I was
especially
getting to.
Fared and the Grade Mouser. I love that. It's one of those that is, I think, unsung in some of the work that he's done to adapt things that he loves. And I find that, like any art, whether it be wrestling or comics, when you have that moment, or that thing where you can see that same love for a character or a story or a trope that that you kind of find yourself attracted or attached to be recognized by a creator. I think that those are those kind of moments where they're still so good.
Were you a big Fritz Lieber guy?
I wasn't. I that kind of realm of fantasy and fiction and stuff. That just never entered into my like radar when I was a kid. Just wasn't something that many of my friends were into, and I think that that's probably like the slight generational shift between you and I. Just that kind of 7 to 8 years where there's this thing. I find the kind of same thing with my cousins, my older cousins, where they're probably there's that middle between us, that's that kind of like 7 to 8 years, and then we're kind of like on either side of that, depending on which cousin. And so sometimes we kind of overlap and sometimes we don't in some of those things. And I think that I was too late for for that to be kind of a part of kind of like a pop fantasy like consciousness. Same thing with what was it? I just had something else that I was like, oh, that's the other thing that I just kind of missed. There was still fringe. There's a couple people in high school I knew that liked it, but it just never kind of popped for me.
Clicked with you?
Yeah, and it's not that it's like that I went back and checked it out. I haven't checked it out because I just haven't checked it out.
It's very, very enjoyable stuff, and it's a lot different than what you're thinking. I think it's going to be. It's very like dark and yet funny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of irony. So did you ever read Michael Moorcock's Eternal Champion stuff?
No.
What about, I'm pretty sure you haven't, but one that I'm big on, and that's mainly Wade Wellman's Silver John stories.
No. Yeah, how are we still friends? I know.
Hey, do you know that Mignola put a Silver John analog into Hellboy? Because he's a big fan.
Well, yeah, because we went to the exhibit at the Institute.
That's right. Yeah. That was awesome.
I saw the pictures of that the other day, and I was like, oh, I gotta bring that up. That was one of my favorite visits with my brother and Nicole, and it was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful exhibit. One of the best kind of collections I've ever seen in one place of somebody's work.
I've been to a lot of museums and seen a lot of really cool stuff. And I always kind of think back to the Smithsonian when I was a kid, looking at dinosaurs and just being like, because dinosaurs were my jam, and being completely enraptured. The the Del Toro exhibit was as close to I'll ever, I think, get to that. I was just like, this is everything I love. Like, it's comic books, it's all the literature that I enjoy, it's costumes, it's someone's sketchbooks, it's sculpture, it's video clips. It was literally just like
so
a feast. And I think if given the opportunity again, I bought one of the two books on the exhibit. I still haven't bought the second one.
Yeah.
I would probably spend a lot more time just absorbing it. It was just incredible. It was one of the coolest things I've been to in a really long time.
Hey, if you're looking for a book
fabulous.
About absorbing, I suggest Mug Cakes. 2 minutes of microwave heaven.
By the ghost of Wilford Brimley.
Big break, baby.
So when you're
what else?
Do you look at like that period of books and that kind of I don't know, that fantasy, those books at all, or those literature, or those things that are like in appendix N, like in the Dungeon Master's Guide and things like that? I never think about like, maybe I should go back and dig into some of those.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
or is that just like not your jam?
No, I do. I mean, the thing is, I love that kind of stuff. Like, I'm through, I think, five of the eight Witcher novels. So I went back and I really, I enjoy those. I can tell for the people that say that there's a difference between the two translators. You can tell the difference. I like fantasy. I like, that kind of stuff. The Fair and the Gray Mouser. I have both the kind of the comic, and then also I think maybe you lent me or I bought the like novel.
I think I had an extra copy.
Yeah.
I
So
have extra
yeah,
copy of
I
books.
like that stuff. I just I feel like with playing D&D and kind of running and everything, I try to kind of allot a certain portion of my brain power to different things, and when a lot of that's getting eaten up in the shoot job, it's I have to kind of pace myself because I know I'm only going to be able to absorb so much, and kind of keep it in my brain. So,
It makes sense.
but I think that it would be really fun to kind of create a list like that for next summer or even over the winter break to be able to kind of dig into stuff. Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
I think good. I think really good.
Hey,
I
before
would.
before we wrap, could we talk a little bit about how and what and all of the fun stuff that we did with like Down and Outlands and Dive Club? I know we kind of touched on it really briefly, but I mean, how is it to run like on our channel, just kind of doing your own thing? Is such a different tone than Domains of Dread, like literally just in tone and everything else. I mean, how is it to just have a different feel for it?
Um, I feel like it is a lot less pressure. It's four players. I know the players really well. Um, it also came off the heels of our. That was the same week of trying to do this other thing that did not go well.
Yeah,
Um, but I think it went pretty well. It's a different vibe entirely. It's it's like trying to compare like John Carpenter's The Thing or David Cronenberg's Rabid to like Where in the World is Carmen San Diego. Um, I really liked it. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I was inspired enough to um, make a supplementary thing that Warrior's going to put up on the website. I'm going to try to do it every 2 weeks and maybe even solicit some assistance in it if people want to be a part of it.
nice.
Um, just, I'm sorry, what?
No, I said nice.
Yeah, just because it's such a big, robust setting. Um, it was really fun. It's a lot, like I said, a lot less pressure. I always felt like with Domains of Dread, it was a little like, can you top the time before?
Yeah,
Whether it is just the creep factor, the danger factor, or the, actually making them afraid. Um, but as someone said during that other project, once you kind of get about 5 minutes in, you just play. You just do
yeah.
your thing.
You're just there.
Um, Down and Out ones was a little easier to do that, and it was really hard too because it had been a rough Sunday and Monday.
Yeah,
Um, so it was like my head wasn't totally there, so I had a hard time um, finding like my rhythm, I guess, for lack of a better term. Because I'm a very, and I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point a little bit more in depth. Um, I'm a bullet point person. I just write some stuff out. I try to keep it pretty loose. I used to be extremely meticulous and write binders and like Mitt Romney style binders of women, um, binders and binders of like backstory and this person's second cousin 3 times removed, his roommate. Um, I don't do it anymore. I just try to go as much off the cuff as possible. I feel like it gives everybody a lot more of an opportunity to kind of build their own things around them. I don't think D&D always allows for that very well, but like anything powered by the apocalypse definitely does. It's like one of the tenets of the game. Um, yeah, yeah. I think I have a real skewed view on how that game went.
Yeah.
I think just because that was
How about
a rough thing.
how about Dive Club?
That game was great.
Yeah.
Um, I have fun with all those people,
Yeah.
so I think it makes it very easy to just enjoy their company. And I think a lot like Down and Outlands or even Domains of Dread, it's like once you get going, I forgot I was even on camera. It's just
Yeah.
like, let's just play this game.
And I think that that's the whole point, is like just getting together and hopefully, having people join us, and we're going to have, kind of various people from different games that we play, or, wrestlers that have been on old Dive Club episodes, or, just kind of other new friends, that we've kind of encountered along the way. And yeah,
Well,
it could be
and
fun.
I think it doesn't hurt that I always feel like I end up in the middle of the pack in those games, especially when it's like jokey haha stuff, because I'm funny to a mediocre level. Um, but when you're hearing other people like truly be witty and funny, it's a hoot, you know.
Yeah. Worrier and like Nate and Clark with a good like dry joke in there. Um, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think that it felt a lot like a Dive Club episode, which is what we really wanted, is just to have another thing where we could all get together with our wrestling friends and other friends and just play games and have fun, and just like forget about life for a while.
So I would ask you, if we're able to get a werewolf game
Yeah.
beyond like you or I running it,
Hmm.
who are your 10 people you'd want to watch play a werewolf game out of the people you know?
Any 10 people? Wrestling
Any,
people?
any 10 people you know. You have to know them though, enough to invite them to play werewolf on camera.
I would love to get Chris, one of our friends from Philadelphia. Would love to get Tom, another friend that's from here but lives out on the East Coast. Uh, John Maddening and his wife, both of them are crazy fun people. Matt and Danny Lind from Enhancement Talent, would love to play with them. Love playing with you guys. I love playing um, with Nate and his wife Sarah. She's especially fun for confidence games because she just has a take no prisoners attitude about things.
Very
Um,
true.
Strangely enough, I always feel remiss if I don't mention my brother, because he's not always very good at those games, but sometimes he just completely fools me, which is always, for me, of my close friends, there aren't many that I've obviously known as long as my brother. And so there's nothing I enjoy more than being surprised by someone I've known for a really long time. And so I love playing games with them. I love playing D&D when we're able to find the time to do it, because man, every once in a while he will pull something out and I will not expect it whatsoever. And I'm like, where the hell did you learn that? Or like,
Your
how did
brother,
you approach it
your
like that?
he hit me up this weekend asking
Yeah.
for Dropbox link to D&D stuff. And I was
Oh,
like, what do you want this for? And he goes, I'm gonna have some more time with you pretty soon. I
that
was
is
like,
true.
well then.
Now that they've bought the house, yeah, it's hopefully things will settle down. We can play, and with all of us being online anyway, it would be a lot easier to bring people on. There's a lot of things we've talked about with D&DDT, Tasty Boys kind of reaching the 100th episode and maybe kind of shifting, opening up some new franchises, or maybe making a jump into the future, or into a old setting or a new setting, or
Yeah,
something.
we had a cool conversation this weekend too about Just like, I don't know which one of us will use it, but if you don't use it, I will probably use it for like Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
Um, Based on a comment someone I'm friends with on Facebook made, and it kind of spun into us having like back and forth over the use of like country songs or songs kind of in that darker vein. It was mainly off of the song Jolene,
Yeah.
um, which was ironic because I'd been watching Awful Squad, and one of the things that happens on Awful Squad is whenever Justin McElroy gets killed early in the game, which is a lot, he busts out the guitar and just starts singing songs. And Jolene was on the last episode I watched before that popped up. Um, so I was like, oh wow, that's a song I don't ever think of, but man, that's a dark song.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be, kind of an interesting take, especially like we were talking about Silver John earlier. I mentioned Silver John earlier. Um, Kind of doing something in the Appalachian Mountains type of thing,
Yeah.
or even in the Iron Range.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
talking about people to play werewolf with, confidence games with. I will name one person you didn't name who I absolutely love playing those games with because he's at least as obnoxious as I am. Gino Machino.
Oh, Gene's a hoot. I had a chance to see them this weekend. That's probably my, if we do our kind of closing things that I can suggest, see people at a distance, at a comfortable, safe distance, even if you can only see them for 10, 15 minutes, like being
even
able
if you
to,
and even if you have to see them when they're sleeping and they're not aware of your presence.
they smell different, but
Yeah. Does this smell like chloroform?
yeah. But yeah, no, seeing him and Cassie, it was great. And I gave them some hot mustard and they gave me some vegetables. And no, that's not code for anything. It's just a good old fashioned swap of domestic goods.
I love hot mustard.
Me too.
And that's not code for anything. I just love hot mustard.
No.
Imagine those ribs if I would have hit him with hot mustard instead of regular mustard and then hit him with the rub.
Yep. So if we got one parting thought on survival from chapter 1, what's your parting survival tip for the episode or the chapter, as it were?
There are. So last week sucked. I'll just be honest about it. It was real bad at the beginning of the week, especially. I had death in the family. It was real weird. It's my last grandparent. We were not close, but it's just like very odd. And I only have one parent left, and that was their last parent. So it also makes that like also weird in the fact that I'm so detached from the majority of my family. I think the last time I saw my family was when we dumped my dad's ashes into the ocean, which has been like what, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We just don't really. I mean, they're far away, but not terribly far away. But as the week went along, I was able to do some different things both at work and, in like Down Outlands and this other unnamed thing I'm not going to talk about until it's done and we can start to figure out what it's going to be on. Dive Club, hanging out this weekend. One of the things that, like in my job, it's easy for people to get really down and really upset and frustrated because it's hard to find work. That's what I do. I help people find jobs. So one thing I try to remind folks of, and I have to remind myself of it a lot, is just like make incremental steps forward. It may only be an inch today. Just don't give ground. Just make that tiny, tiny, tiny step forward. Always forward. And remember that everything you're doing, if you put hard work into it and you try to make yourself and therefore things around you better, good things will happen. The more you pour out into the world positively and the more you try to build things up and in turn build yourself up, the more that you can you can see change happen, positive change, and it does happen even in those darkest times. And this has been like darkest timeline this year. So I would say that make attainable goals. Look at those attainable goals, and they might be like, goal one is get out of bed. If that's your only goal for today and you did it, fuck yeah, man. High five. Good job. I'm proud of you. And I'm not even being facetious. I am, because sometimes just getting out of bed is real hard. So, give yourself something that you can do and you can see your progress and you can feel good about your progress, because the world spends a lot of time telling you all the things you can't do, shouldn't do, won't be able to do, that you're going to fail at, or that sky is falling. And as a PESA realist, I'm good at that too. But I pride myself on the fact that that's reserved for me. Like, I try to put out as much positivity in the world as I possibly can to other people. Like, you teased me this weekend when we got coffee, like, something about being polite. It's some of it's because how I was raised, but also it's because I've worked crappy jobs before, and I want to make sure that that person who's giving me that coffee at the drive-through window knows how much I appreciate the time, the effort, and what they're going through for $13 an hour or whatever it is. So they should know that I'm thanking them for what they're doing, because they could just make that a miserable experience. But I find if I'm just kind and I'm genuine about it, that I don't have a lot of those issues. And that's part of my goal every day. It's part of my incremental step forward, is to be like, yeah, I'm going to try to be as nice as I can to folks, and maybe they'll be nice to me back, or maybe they won't. But that's neither here nor there. It's my responsibility to step forward incrementally and try to better that. I hope sometimes some of those people go home or whatever, and they can have a shit day, but they know, like, hey, that one guy came through the drive-through again, and he was super nice.
So chapter 1, a little
What
kind.
You didn't get to say yours.
I mean, mine is that, a little kindness goes a long way.
It really does.
Chapter 1. I mean, that's the long and short of it. I had someone thank me for setting up their, discussion section when all I had to do was kind of copy mine over. It was work that I had already done, but for me to have them have an easy transition into that, it's not much, And
you brought Huey over.
I did. We had some dog time. I brought him with on my errands this weekend, and he got to see some friends, which makes him happy. But also, it's really nice to see when folks are excited to see him. Plus, he was wearing his Bam Bam Bigelow scarf, so
it was real sweet. You should hold him up so he can be seen on camera.
What's that?
You should hold him up so he gets some camera time.
Hey, you, come here. Come here. He's wearing his Bam Bam Bigelow scarf again. Come here.
Yes.
Up. You come up. Okay. You come up. There he is.
Hey!
Oh.
No, I can't see him at all.
Yeah, here's his scarf. Hey. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So
yeah. Like, you don't have to, take that time. And I know it's some effort sometimes, just because, he might decide I'm running for it, Generally, he's pretty entertained by smells in my yard as well as yard candy.
Yeah.
But overall, that's work. Like, and you don't have to do that, but you do that, and it means a lot. And I think those are things that I think you're exactly right. Being kind costs you nothing.
Yeah. All right. Chapter 1, baby. It's in the books. Make a mug cake. Be nice to people.
Go find a Brimley movie. And I know which Brimley movie I'm going to suggest to you. Do you have a Brimley movie?
No.
There's only one Brimley movie that must be viewed.
All right.
John Carpenter's The Thing. Brimley, without the stash. Do you know why he has no stash in that movie?
No.
It's because Kurt Russell absorbed it into his beard. And his awesome sombrero.
Fair.
Giant beard, sombrero, sunglasses, driving a helicopter, playing chess with a giant computer, drinking real gross whiskey. Kurt Russell, baby. Also, Keith David in that flick. I loves me some Keith David.
So, King's recommendation, The Thing. My recommendation, Twister. Doesn't have Wilford Brimley in it, but you should go watch it because it's a great film, baby. You can pick it up at Blockbuster.
Have you seen The Thing?
Yes, I've seen The Thing. We've talked about this before.
I thought that was one of those flicks you hadn't seen where you're like,
no, you impressed upon me the need to go back and rewatch The Thing. We rewatched it, at least half of it together, I know.
It's because it's the greatest movie I've ever seen.
All right.
So dark, nihilistic.
Kindness don't cost a thing. Is that the name of this chapter?
Sure. Neither does nihilism. I am the nihilist, Lebowski. Give me the money.
We'll come for your mug cake, Lebowski. We'll cut off your membership card.
Next time I make a new Stardew Valley game, I'm going to call it Nihilist Farm.
Nihilist Flats.
Nice. I think it has to end in farm.
No.
All right, man. Hey, if you're watching this, listening to it, whatever, however you absorb your entertainment, and you'd like to join us and talk about how you're surviving, get a hold of us. Beard, what's our email address?
It's heelturnradio@gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook /heelturnradio. You can search for us on YouTube, and we're on the way to trying to be like our good friend Ref Clark Feldman. You can find at twitch.tv/Ref Clark Feldman and on all other social medias. We want to be affiliates, baby. So come follow.
Dive Club on Friday?
Dive Club on Friday, every Friday, as the lead-in TGIF block. We are the Family Matters to his step-by-step because we get to pick first. Bring in some jokes. I think we're going to play some more Jackbox games. Going to go Quiplash, I think, this week. So join in. If there's spots, you can join in the Quiplash game or join in the audience. Follow us on everything. And like and subscribe and all of the fun stuff. Hit that bell.
If you're interested in playing some Werewolves of Miller's Hollow, contact us as well as we try to figure that out. Also, as I said earlier in the podcast, if you want to buy comic books, let me know. Let us know, and we'll see what we can do there.
And once again, if you're in the Pacific Northwest and need a video, go down to your local last Blockbuster on Earth. Bend, Oregon, baby. This has been
Mug Cakes for life.
Survival. Yay. I'm going to get a tattoo that says, Big Break. Big Break.